The last Metroid is in captivity. The galaxy is at peace.
Growing up in the age of Super Nintendo was a blessing to many of my generation, and looking back on the memories of adventure we had with such classics always brings a smile and an overwhelming desire to revisit that time. Super Metroid was one of those fond memories, getting home from school, playing in the dark, only the light from the TV illuminating the room whilst you began Samus Aran's adventure with its dark and creepy introduction.
For many, Super Metroid was probably the first time you came across the franchise, but there are two games before it. Metroid 2 on the Game Boy, and of course the original adventure on the NES, simply titled Metroid, released on August 6, 1986. Flash forward to now in 2017, those kids that grew up playing these games and loving them have decided to band together to create a fan-made Metroid game that serves as a prequel to the original quest. Yes, a trip back to discover more about the story and what was going on before the famed Zero mission.
The manual included in the first Metroid game had brief details about a deep research vessel that was attacked by space pirates. The pirates seized a capsule that contained a new form of life, and up until now this was just a small paragraph in a booklet. But it's this paragraph where Metroid Rogue Dawn begins.
Right from the word go, this looks amazing. The artwork is perfect, the 8-bit styling recreates the atmosphere, and the well-composed brand new music gives you nostalgia chills down the spine. In a lot of ways, the original has been bested.
It gives you exactly what you wanted all of these years, to be transported back to that childhood memory of sitting in the dark, playing a dark and creepy space adventure. There have been some gameplay improvements over the original too. You now have a map. As anyone who played the original would know, without having a map it got very confusing. And the original's environments were a lot more basic.
There is something I would add, and that would be to have the map change colour to indicate areas you have already searched. I think that would help for when you get hopelessly lost. It worked really well in Super Metroid. If you were lucky to get the special edition of Super Metroid at the time, it had a really nice booklet in full colour with detailed maps and strategies for beating this tough monster game. There's nothing like that for Rogue Dawn, but the developers have released a printable download map for you, which is really cool.
The landscapes in Rogue Dawn are much more akin to the newer Metroid games, like Super Metroid, and this is much more than just a simple layout hack of the original game. The levels are very well thought out, and discovering where to go or figuring out a hidden area is just the beginning of what is fresh and fun here. There is more story, small details like dead spacemen and debris strewn about. It's small touches like this that really fire off the imagination. When you see an unknown statue or a dead space marine lying somewhere in the level, it sparks off all kinds of inquisitiveness, whilst at the same time gives you a certain level of disconnection and isolation. Here as a human, but you are very much alone.
There are also much bigger additions too, such as new bosses and a brand new soundtrack, and that all serves to push this high into the limelight. The game has you traversing through the world in the typical Metroid style, being only able to progress to new areas once you have acquired the correct power-ups, the Morph Ball, missile upgrades, and the Freeze Ray. It's challenging too. The difficulty is spot on, and everything has been meticulously planned out so that it has the right balance.
As a massive fan to the Metroid series, I can honestly say this is one of the finest outings I've had since Super Metroid. I couldn't stop playing it, and continued like a child late into the night, being utterly absorbed by its incredible recreation of that era of gaming. And back in the day, I used to draw all sorts of fan art for my favourite games, and after playing Rogue Dawn, I felt inspired to do the same. As a thank you to the hard work of the development team, here's my fan art appreciation of a great piece of work.
I hope that these guys go on to develop more adventures, as they really seem to know what a Metroid game needs. Giving this a Gamegasm 9 out of 10.
This really is a perfect example of how to do a Metroid game. There is none finer than Metroid Rogue Dawn. I implore any fan to go out there and get it as soon as possible. I hope one day maybe we'll see this printed on an actual cartridge. Let's just not tell Nintendo, eh? My time with Metroid always brings up fond memories, and Rogue Dawn has just been added to that list of feel-good vibes. Yes, it's a little rough around the edges and could do with some tidying up, but version 1.20 is on the way. I think that for many fans this will be one that is played again and again, late into the evening, basking in the glow of the television.